There's so many vendors that are complementary. And at the end of the day, it's for the partners to choose.
Grow my business, reduce risk, and gain efficiencies. What is up, MSP channel? Welcome to Technically Unraveled, the only show on the internet that unravels technology. I'm your host today, Cameron Goldman, and golly, do we have a good one for you. Before we get into it, be sure to like, be sure to share, and most importantly, smash that subscribe button. Let's get some updates going. As you can expect with PAX 8, we've got some new vendors launching in the marketplace. In the security space, we've got uSecure, security and awareness training for your end users and internally. Look out, a leader in mobile device security. They've got the largest telemetry set within the space of mobile security. On the operations side, we have Cloud Radial coming to the marketplace. Do I need to say anything else here? A darling of the MSP channel, pure value, customer storefronts, ticketing, automated reporting. Pair this up with DNS filter, lock that customer tab to the bookmarks, you're golden. And finally, we've got Electronique, an absolute leader in the RPA space. But today,
the Singularity platform at SentinelOne was built from...
Oh, Steve, you jumped. We're good. Today, we're talking to SentinelOne. You know them, you love them. And we're going to find out what it means to have not just a great security product, but a great security partnership. Yes, SentinelOne has consistently been in the top right quadrant for the Gartner on EDR. Yes, they consistently perform at a world-class rate on the Mitre Attacks. But that success that MSPs have with SentinelOne is for so many reasons beyond just great efficacy in security. The question MSPs need to be asking themselves is, who is the best vendor for me today? Who is going to provide that world-class security, but in a way that works for my business? Who's going to spend the time with me to enable my team, help me truly understand what I'm about to incorporate into my business? And for that reason, I'm excited to bring to you your PAX 8 Beyond 2023 Partner's Choice Vendor of the Year, SentinelOne. Steve, hit that clip now.
The Singularity platform at SentinelOne was built from day one with managed security services and managed service providers in mind. And this is critical because if you try to bolt on those things after the fact, if you weren't thinking about the things and the technologies that all of you need, if you're not thinking about the business models that you need to be successful and grow your businesses, then it's not going to be successful. Many of our competitors tried to build their own things and then, oh, we should look at MSP, we should look at MSSP. But they didn't have the technologies, they didn't have the business models to be successful. So from day one, we have been focused on this market, and we know that our growth and our success is thanks to all of you in this room today.
Welcome back. We're here with Scott from SentinelOne. Scott, give us a quick intro. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, thank you very much for the wonderful intro. I have been in the security industry for quite some time, just about 20 years. I've been in IT for about 25, so getting a little bit long in the tooth. I've worked for government and several very, very, very large software companies. I've been with SentinelOne for just over 5 years. And I am a dedicated resource to PAX 8. So when you think of the technical side of the PAX 8 SentinelOne relationship, that's me.
Love it. And we love having you here. We just heard a little bit from Beyond 2023, that main stage keynote about how SentinelOne was architected, how they had MSPs in mind from day one. Tell us a little bit about that SentinelOne philosophy when it comes to going to market through partnerships.
Yeah, so PAX 8 is one of our longest running partnerships that we actually have at SentinelOne. In fact, PAX 8 could even be said to be responsible for teaching us most of the lessons that we've learned to even build out an effective MSSP vendor partner relationship with all of our partners. And what we've done is we've identified the gaps in the communication with the partners. We've identified areas that where the partners could be more successful in providing an effective security program for their customers, which at the end of the day, it's what we're all here for. And so by taking these lessons that we've learned, and we incorporate that into our products and our services. And we train our teams and all of the resources that we have available to us, and then go in turn try to pass that knowledge and experience onto PAX 8 and their partners as well.
Love it. Love it. Love that commitment to the MSPs. And I got to say too, you guys aren't just, taking our advice. You're seeing things on your own. You're going to where the puck is going to be. So you're truly a leader in that space. And one of the things that we talked about prior to the show, you mentioned, that SentinelOne has so many resources available, really does offer a lot in the way of enablement, to the extent that even it's being underutilized by our partners, and really has that people-centric approach. What's that look like? How are you enabling these security teams?
Well, we're approaching this on several different fronts. Now, first off, one of our internal resources, her name is Marav. She is an absolute just animal. She is so sharp and so committed to our partner relations that she's completely revamped our community partner portal. And for those of you that have actually seen our partner portal, it's full of tons of resources talking about, everything from sales collateral to the actual technical presentations that are centered around our different products and services that PAX 8 can offer, as well as even some that are going to be even offered here in the very near future. And then the other one of the other driving factors that we've got is that I'm going to keep going back to relationships, but in the past year that I've been involved with PAX 8, managed to get to know many people very, very well, including PAX 8's partners and even some of their customers. And by attending the trade shows and attending events like Right of Boom and Beyond and Black Hat and RSA and all of these different types of events where we get an opportunity to present and talk together and most importantly, educate together. So we have an opportunity here to really, for some of the partners that maybe aren't as familiar with SentinelOne, maybe a little bit curious, or like maybe I'm using this type of a platform. How can SentinelOne help me solve my security problems? This is not about just simply coming up with the next corporate buzzword to sell or this next new toy to sell or trying to push as many products and services as we can. It's about solving security problems. And the relationship that in the training that we provide with PAX 8 is helping PAX 8 be that trusted security partner for their partners and for their customers downstream.
And it's something that I hit on at the beginning. It's so important. You can go and get any security tool. It's not the hardest thing to do. But if you're not effective with that security tool, then it's shelfware for all intents and purposes, right? You're not actually leveraging it to its full capabilities. If I could borrow one from, David Powell or Matt Lee, it's like jumping in a Ferrari and not knowing how to drive it. So it's such great work that SentinelOne is doing. And I love that you brought up Right of Boom too, because I'll say when we started working with SentinelOne and when we brought SentinelOne to market, like 5 years ago, something like that,
yeah,
SentinelOne wasn't so prevalent at these shows like Right of Boom, like Exchange. And that's been a huge change and uplift, over the years to have that, opportunity to get that face time with the partners, to know what their challenges are, not just, through security, but again, through enablement, through these partnerships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. In fact, partners are our greatest source of information of what's going out in the greater security industry. And the reason for that is because quite frankly, our relationship with our partners, it is the is it helps us scale better from terms of getting some market feedback and getting some additional information as to what are the types of problems that people are trying to solve, what's new on the threat landscape, what are the operational woes that individual teams are having, and what can we do to, if not solve the problems through technology, or maybe help deal or solve the problems through training and enablement.
That's exactly right. And not just, helping SentinelOne scale, Pax8 scale, these MSPs, these partners, they're scaling because that enablement that you're doing, it's filtering throughout the entire MSP, right? And now there's techs across, the entire MSP, from level 1 all the way up that are extremely effective with SentinelOne.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when you have good having a great tool is part of the equation. Okay, which few would argue, and you brought it up a little bit earlier that we've done very well in Mitre, and we've done very well in the Magic Quadrant as well. And that's all well and good, but at the end of the day, that the more effective that the security teams are at using our platform, being able to respond to threats, get that detailed level information to answer the prevalent question that all CISOs ask is, how did this happen, and what are we doing to stop it or prevent it from happening again? That's just, if you can't answer those types of those questions as a security team, then we need to do better. And it's one of those areas that not only do we try to provide the tools to make your lives easier, but also to provide the training to make you the most effective. And through train the trainer types of programs, we can also help spread that knowledge even further. And that's where the scaling is really going to take place.
Absolutely. And then, an MSP is able to scale that through, take those level 3 techs, get them working on, extremely valuable revenue generating projects, building out Azure deployments, going to customer sites and, shifting them to the cloud, doing all of this work, right? That's great project work for an MSP and not have to risk their security posture in the process. Scott, we've brought up the Mitre attack framework a few times here, and honestly, I'm a little fuzzy on what it all means. I know it means good things when you perform well, but it seems like everyone's performing well. So demystify that for me. Tell me a little bit about how SentinelOne has performed and where we should be looking to kind of bring that education through all the way to the customer base.
Well, I'm going to go ahead and preface everything I'm going to say by, I don't work for marketing. So I am a 20-year security engineer. So everything I'm going to say is going to come from the lens of a security engineer. So
I think that's what we want to hear.
But you're right. You hit the nail on the head. Every time there's a Mitre result, everyone releases a statement that's on all different social media platforms that, hey, we're the best. And the truth is that it's a little bit more nuanced than that. So Mitre goes through great lengths to stay 100% neutral. Now, whether or not that's, anyone's successful in that, well, biases are really, really hard to combat. Whether implicit or explicit, some biases are just with us. And, but one of the ways where Mitre has tried to combat accusations of any kind of a bias is that when they choose their testing framework, then they divide it up into the different categories, okay? And they show ahead of time what exact types of data that they're looking back for. And I apologize, all of a sudden my voice is deciding to start crackling on me. But and usually it's centered around, was there a detection? Was there data? Was it completely missed? Or was it just NA? It just simply didn't apply. Okay. And I admit that the website is actually very difficult to navigate, but you can actually drill down into each individual vendor that took part in that year's Mitre testing. And it goes into all the framework, and even in a lot of cases, even screenshots and things like that. But what you're really looking for are areas that map to your risk framework. Okay. So, for example, if you're not running any Linux in your environment, do you care about that? I mean, yeah. I mean, if you are not running cloud services, okay, maybe that's more important. Or maybe you have a very cloud-centric type of environment. Maybe that's something you want to drill down. You need to step into looking at the MITRE results from the frame of mind of how are these testing results going to fit in my security strategy, is really the way that I recommend people kind of look at the MITRE results. Now a lot of a lot of vendors are guilty of saying, "Hey, here's all the tests, and we got all of this, and then here's a chart, or here's a bar chart, and then hey, we're the best." A lot of them will do that, and I've always tried to shy away from those types of conversations, just simply because it's always been a priority of me to put the solution in the hands of the people that want to try it, and let them kick the tires, let them try it out in their environment, because that's, at the end of the day, what's really going to matter. I mean, the MITRE testing is fine, it's great, but how is this going to solve my security issues? And is this going to fit in my security operations program? And is this going to address the risks that I am looking to address?
Yep. And that's available, right? We have NFRs, again, that partner-centric approach. We want to make sure that MSPs are really able to start leveraging these tools, leveraging them within, testing environments that mimic what they're going to be releasing them to, mimic the deployment, right? You guys have done such great work working with our partners on that deployment side too, even down to like custom scripts and things. It's just been so powerful. I've heard such great things, about the work that you've done directly with those partners, with our security sales team. It expedites, the improvement that you bring to that security posture.
Well, thanks. I mean, that's a tremendous compliment. I mean, deploying any new security tool in any environment, it doesn't matter if you're an SMB or an enterprise with 100,000 endpoints. I mean, getting the solution out is going to be one of your biggest challenges. And we've actually had instances where we've had a few large enterprises from our enterprise sales side that had deployed over 10,000 agents in a single day. That kind of scalability is just incredible. And then with PAX8 having access to their own cloud services, so basically the only the PAX8 one boxes, as we call them, it gives PAX8 all the control in the universe to provision new services and add-ons and provide that level of expertise for their partners, which is really, really cool.
It's great. Scott, we've got a question from the comments section here. I warned you about MSP Madman, Technically Unraveled super fan. Not a big fan of the game, but definitely when it comes to Technically Unraveled, this is our guy. And what does he have to say here? He says, Scott, you were at Microsoft prior to SentinelOne. As a former insider looking at it through a different lens, what are your overall thoughts? And he goes on, but I think you get the gist here. He's asking, how you feel about, that move SentinelOne with all that extensive background that you have.
So, well, I was at Microsoft long enough ago where we still relied on third-party endpoint solutions for security in different security tools. Okay. And then there was a decision that was made shortly after Satya Nadella took over that we were going to get rid of these third-party solutions, and we as in Microsoft needed to be experts in our own platform, in our own ecosystem, and we are going to make this transition into being a more security-oriented company, which I still to this day think was a brilliant move. I mean, I said it for years. If Microsoft makes the operating system, they should be the security experts in how to best protect it. That just seemed like a no-brainer to me at the time. And so there was a lot of expansion that was put into the Defender platform with the build out of Azure. There was a lot of transition into the cloud services and moving SIM-related activities off of one vendor into what is now Azure Sentinel. And its evolution has been nothing short of staggering. But when I left Microsoft for SentinelOne, I remember I was actually working in the information protection team. So I was actually monitoring network traffic for 250,000 employees worldwide. And we were also, doing insider threat and data loss prevention, things like that. So did a lot of work with the CDOC as well. And I called up a friend of mine that worked at SentinelOne. He was the sales engineering director. His name was Jared Phipps, and we'd gotten to know each other for a while. And one of those people in the industry that I'd come to respect very, very much. And I asked him, I said, what, tell me about this SentinelOne. I mean, what's the deal with this SentinelOne? I mean, is this the real deal? Or because I've heard every pitch by vendors in the universe. Between working for government, working for Microsoft, believe me, I've heard it all. And as an SE, I tried very hard not to sound like one of those people, which is why I tend to be very straight. But anyway, he arranged for a demonstration of the SentinelOne platform 5 years ago. And I took one look at it and said, oh my God, this is going to change the world. This is the remediation capabilities of the platform without even any needed human interaction was just incredible. I had never seen anything like that in all my years. And it's like, you know what, I got to be a part of this. Whatever it takes, I've got to be a part of it. And that was 5 years ago, and it's been a heck of a ride.
That's awesome. And I always I tell our sales folks all the time, like, show the rollback, show it. It's so impressive. You got to just highlight the rollback if you're going to do anything. Great context and interesting on the Microsoft side too, because like I could think about it either way, right? Like, do you want to use a third party? Like, it's nice to have someone watching the watcher, something that's going to be coming up soon on Technically Unraveled. But then, there's also value to not implementing that, right? And kind of running with your own solution tool. So I'm not going to tell Sadia what to do, but interesting decision nonetheless. And
yeah, I'm with you on that.
We got to keep moving. We got to keep moving because I got to ask you, this last year at PAX 8, SentinelOne, we've seen amazing growth on SentinelOne Complete. It's outpacing our growth on Control dramatically. What are you seeing? What's driving that?
Well, it's the sales numbers are, I don't want to say sales numbers. The adoption factor is probably a better way to put it. Is they've been going up.
You can say adoption.
So I remember, and this kind of goes back a year ago, right? So I was actually at the PAX 8 QBR that took place. In fact, just had the one for this year yesterday, as a matter of fact. And one of the items that was brought up that PAX 8 was very concerned about was the adoption rate between Control and Complete. And for those of you that don't know, Control has a lot of the bells and whistles that you kind of come to expect, like the remote shell, the firewall control, Bluetooth, lots of different things like that, application inventory and some vulnerability stuff. That's all just packaged in with it, right? Well, the Complete is essentially Control, but plus the EDR, okay, which is soon to be the XDR part of the offering, which is also going to be known as Singularity Data Lake. And so one of the things that we did is, okay, we had to ask the question is, all right, so how are we going to get people to understand the importance of that additional threat or not the threat intel, but the forensic data that is gathered from the endpoint in the event that there's an attack discovered on the endpoint. So there was a webinar series that I took part in. There was a lot of help that our marketing team worked with PAX 8's marketing team to really drive home the hows and the whys. It's like, okay, well, a threat was discovered in my environment. Now what? Okay, well, the agent says it took care of it, and sure it did. We've got an after action report that the agent generates, and it says all the things it did, and the remediate and the kill, quarantine, remediate, and the rollback. All right, so what's the big deal? Well, if I have the same agent, whether it's Control or Complete, then why would I need Complete? Well, the education kind of came around a couple of parts. And the first and foremost is like, okay, well, yeah, the threat showed up, but how did it get there? Was this an email attachment? Was it off a thumb drive? Was it a drive-by download? Was this a remote code execution exploit? I mean, how did this actually start? Because once you understand that from a forensic standpoint, how an attack started, you can start coming up with additional mitigations or even reducing your attack footprint to prevent that door from being open in the first place. Okay, just because the cops hauled off the burglar doesn't mean that you just leave that door unlocked. You lock the door. So it's that was one part of it, and then the other part of it was even also some education around other ways to use EDR, which is something that I've pushed on because of my my insider threat days and information protection days, is the other ways to use EDR beyond just forensic investigation, like insider threat type stuff. And that's been very, very successful. And the adoption rate for Complete, if you actually watch it in a bar graph, it's just been kind of going like this last year. It's really exciting.
It is. And another exciting thing too, I kind of set you up for this one, is going to be Purple AI. So tell us a little bit about Purple AI. We heard about it at Beyond, and I think you mentioned Complete might be a prerequisite there.
Yeah. So there's no way to mince words about this. AI is on everybody's lips right now. Okay, if you don't have some kind of large language model that is integrated into your platform, you're already behind. Okay. And that's fine from a corporate buzzword standpoint, but here's where the rubber hits the road, is that this is a fully in-house developed and compartmentalized. We do not use customer data, period, to train our models. In fact, we don't actually really train our models. What we've got is a modular system that is built so that you can access only the data that you have access to in your console. So for example, what that means is that you can write a plain language query. For example, you could say, show me all PowerShell events in the last 24 hours that resulted in a network connection. Okay, well then Purple AI will actually take that plain language query. It'll generate the actual query language query to give you the results, and then it'll even summarize the results and suggest follow-up questions without needing the internet. This is a very, very big deal because this helps helps Purple AI move very, very rapidly and give you the most accurate results, because we are narrowing the scope of exactly what it's intended, and it has been designed from the ground up to do its designed purpose.
And again,
I'm just scratching the surface about platform. Yeah, and this is also a really, really neat enablement tool as well, because this even is going to help people learn how to use the EDR platform or the Singularity Data Lake platform. By say, if you want to know how to build a query for showing all processes that started with PowerShell or started with anything else, you didn't know how to do it, just write it in plain language and it'll generate the query for you, and then you can reverse engineer it from there. It's right there.
So impressive. So exciting. When can we expect it?
It will be available sometime next month, tentatively, but I'm being a little bit close-lipped as to the exact date that it's going to be available for partners.
Hey, next month sounds really good to me. I'm excited about that one. So, all right, we talked about Control, we talked about Complete, we've talked about the Purple AI. One more before we go. Let's talk Vigilance. What's SentinelOne doing? The enablement, again, very, very awesome there, and driving incredible insights to our MSPs. Give us a little bit of a snapshot into, the SentinelOne, purview in how you're going to market with Vigilance today, which is site level.
Vigilance is, yes, it is. In fact, that was one of the, that was a very, very big deal for us to be able to not only offer Vigilance at the site level for Pax8 and Pax8's partners to their customers, but we were able to even set it up that Pax8 could provision it through self-provisioning and turn it on and off and actually get it configured and get it set up for their individual customers, which was just a huge deal for us to be able to do that in this last year. And it's been immensely successful because not all MSPs have the bandwidth or the ability, because they are, as you said earlier, they're working on the business revenue generating activity, right? So this is not meant to replace a security team. Vigilance is meant to augment those security teams, just to kind of take it to that next higher level. And down the road, there is going to be another solution, which is going to be Watchtower for threat intel, and we'll do something else about that later. Just a little sneak peek.
Yeah, we'll have to have you come back. We'll talk about it. It'll be great. But we are at time. Scott, I cannot thank you enough. Coming from SentinelOne, just incredible success through these partnerships. I'm so excited to see where we go from here. Thank you so much.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
All right. That's our show for this week. What else do you want to see from Technically Unraveled? Let us know in the comments. I'm going to be back next week hosting. We're talking to Cyrisma. AI is coming up again. We're going to be talking about getting your data posture in order so that you can roll out Copilot to all your customers. Join us next week here on YouTube, Thursday, 2 p.m. Mountain Time.